Mark had been working tirelessly at his firm for the past 5 years, always putting in extra hours, always striving to be the best. He was one of the hardest workers in his department, but every time a promotion opportunity arose, someone else seemed to get ahead of him. This time, though, things were different. A managerial position had opened up, and Mark was one of the top candidates. His boss, Mr. Donovan Carter, was an imposing figure. Tall, broad-shouldered, and with a commanding presence, he had built his career on discipline and results. He wasn't known for favoritism. He expected excellence. Mark had done everything possible to prove himself, but office politics often played a role in decisions like these. The night before Mark's final review meeting, he came home looking exhausted. I could see the stress written all over his face. "This is it, Rachel," he sighed, collapsing onto the couch. "If I don't get this promotion, I don't know what I'm going to do." I sat beside him, rubbing his back gently. "You've worked so hard for this, Mark. You deserve it. Maybe this time they'll finally see that." He shook his head. "It's not just about my work. I heard a rumor that Mr. Carter might be looking for something more personal before making his decision." I frowned. "What do you mean?" Mark hesitated, then sighed. "He likes to test loyalty in ways that aren't exactly professional. I don't know the details, but I know some of the guys who got promoted had to go the extra mile." I felt a chill run down my spine. "Are you saying he's corrupt?" "Not exactly. But he has expectations." I didn't know what to say. Mark needed this promotion. Our bills were piling up, and if he didn't get it, we'd be struggling for months. I could see the desperation in his eyes. And then, the next day, I got a call that changed everything. The voice on the other end was deep and confident. "Mrs. Dawson, this is Donovan Carter. I'd like to meet with you to discuss something important regarding your husband's future at our company." I felt my stomach twist. "What kind of discussion?" "A private one. I assure you, it will be worth your time." I hesitated, but something in his tone made it clear that this wasn't a request. "All right. When and where?" He gave me an address, an upscale restaurant downtown. I knew I should tell Mark, but something held me back. I needed to find out what Mr. Carter really wanted first. That evening, I arrived at the restaurant dressed in a modest black dress. I spotted Mr. Carter immediately. He stood as I approached, his presence overwhelming. "Mrs. Dawson, please have a seat." I sat down, my hands clasped together to stop them from shaking. "What is this about, Mr. Carter?" He studied me for a moment before speaking. "Your husband is a dedicated employee. He's hardworking, reliable, and talented. But sometimes, talent alone isn't enough." I swallowed hard. "What exactly are you saying?" "I'm saying that success in this world often requires a bit of negotiation. And I have an offer for you." I felt my breath catch. "An offer?" He leaned in slightly, his voice low. "I can make sure Mark gets that promotion. But in return, I need something from you." My heart pounded in my chest. "What do you want?" His eyes didn't leave mine. "Your time. Just one evening. No strings attached, no consequences. Just a meeting between two adults." I felt a rush of emotions, shock, anger, disbelief. "You can't be serious." He sat back, his expression unreadable. "I am. But I won't pressure you. It's entirely your decision." I stood up abruptly, my chair scraping against the floor. "I think this conversation is over." He nodded, as if expecting my reaction. "Take your time to think about it. But remember, opportunities like this don't come often." I walked out of the restaurant, my mind racing. When I got home, Mark was waiting for me. "Where were you?" he asked, concern in his eyes. I hesitated for a moment before answering. "I met with Mr. Carter." Mark's face paled. "What? Why?" I took a deep breath. "He made me an offer. He said he could guarantee your promotion, but he wanted something in return." Mark's jaw tightened. "What did he want?" I looked away. "Me." "For one night." Silence filled the room. Then, suddenly, Mark exhaled sharply. "Rachel, tell me you didn't." "No," I interrupted. "Of course not." I walked away. He sat down, running a hand through his hair. "I can't believe this." I knew he was ruthless, but this. What are we going to do? I asked quietly. Mark was silent for a long moment before standing up. I'll go in tomorrow and turn down the promotion. I won't work for someone like that. Tears pricked my eyes. Are you sure? He nodded. I'd rather struggle than sell our dignity. The next morning, Mark went to work prepared to resign if necessary. But to our surprise, he came home that evening with unexpected news. I didn't have to quit, he said, shaking his head. When I went in, I found out that Mr. Carter had been reported by multiple employees for his behavior. The board forced him to step down. My eyes widened. Are you serious? He nodded. And guess what? I still got the promotion. On my own merit. Relief flooded through me. We had faced an impossible choice, but in the end, doing the right thing had paid off. Mark had earned his success, and we could finally move forward with our heads